Thank you everyone for coming on the show. We're recording at Eric's.
So it's a location courtesy of Eric. We're at Eric's restaurant located on Shakeside Road. And we've got some great Goan stuff as well over here, which you're going to enjoy during the show.
I think right now a lot of things going on, right? Because Carnival, we are missing Carnival in Goa.
Yeah.
And Lent has started as well. So
were you a good little boy? Were you in church on Ash Wednesday?
I saw it online.
Is it?
Did you give up on anything, sacrificing anything from the bedroom? Absolutely.
That I can't, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then there's the, what do you call it? Carnival. I miss Carnival actually.
Yeah.
That has been fascinating in Goa.
The good old days, no?
Yeah, for those who do not know, Carnival is like a big celebration in Goa, besides Brazil.
I miss the good old days of Carnival where it was the parade. We used to go to the Margaon, what is that? The municipal...
Margaon floats, I've seen.
Yeah, the floats.
But did you ever have the water balloon thing?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Man, I had at the time we had Gypsy and me and my friends, we went with a bucket of balloons.
Who can forget the Gypsy?
Yeah, and once I got hit by eggs.
Is it?
And the whole car was smelling.
Oh my God.
It took her like a day to kind of clean the car and get that smell out. It was... Yeah, but anyway, good times. I don't know whether they still do it though. You didn't wear a dress or anything?
No. Okay. Those are for the nights.
Right. Yeah. I have to talk to your wife now.
And then the balloons was, you water balloons and you kind of, everybody on the street used to definitely get wet, whoever's passing by. So we were up on the first or second floor throwing balloons down and stuff like that.
Yeah. Those good old days. I don't know whether it still happen. But yeah, let's get to the guest.
Yeah, let's get to it.
And we have a very special guest, a good friend of mine, a good friend of ours actually, Neil and me. He studied with us in Loyola.
Feels like a mini Patron episode.
Yeah, it's like a mini Patron episode.
Okay, so
if you ask me.
For those of us who have not heard the previous one, Patron episode is what we're going to be doing on a regular basis.
With our close friends, they're not really, but they've done well for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's a little bit more relaxed because we know them.
Yeah, we know them. Yeah.
So this is kind of a mini Patram episode, and we say mini because again, our guest has been growing up a friend, a school friend, and also because he's done well for himself in his niche, what we'll get into later.
Yeah.
So over to you, Carrie, for the introduction.
I thought you were going to do the introduction. But anyway, welcome to the show, Aggie.
Yeah, so welcome to the show, Aggie.
Thank you.
Great to have you here.
Thank you for having me here.
Yes. So Aggie was, of course, growing up with us in Loyola's. Aggie went on to complete his Masters in Finance from Goa University, if I'm correct. Correct, yes. And then in 2003, and then he became a banker. Wow. I mean... So did very well.
With Citibank, I did, yeah.
Yeah, I think you started off in ICICI and then grew up the ranks over there, moved to Citibank, did really well until one fine day, which we were very excited to learn about in 2016.
I think then he ran away to Dubai with all the money.
Is it?
But yeah.
I thought it was the other way around.
Yeah, well, you did the yeah. So Aggie moved to Dubai and grew as well until 2016, where I guess I want to say passion took over, and then you decided to look and follow your heart. I will say more. I guess that's what you're going to tell us more about. And then he completed a couple of things from the New York School of Photography.
But I think he started off with photography and then he got into video.
So I see the New York Institute of Photography between 2014 and 16 you completed, and then the London Film Academy in 2018. And which brings us to today, where he's with the Picture Bar, where you're a director of photography as well as a producer. For those of you all who we call him Aggie, he goes by Agnelo Wayne Rodrigues. Agnelo has his own portfolio on your own website called agneloWayne.com. Please have a look. What was very interesting when we were kind of looking back was that your IMDb page tells us about you being a director of a very interesting thing what we want to talk about, which is Portrait of a Goan Collector, and then cinematographer. Pardon my translation, for The Sleepwalkers in 2021, Paradox in 2022, and the newly released Silence in 2024. So great, I mean...
Yeah, it's a good background, I mean,
very
good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you,
and our first ever film director in the sense on the show.
It's with pride that I say Welcome. We're very happy to have you on Kiss Me I'm Goan.
Oh, thank you.
But let's start off with my famous question: are you Goan? Tell us where you're from, Aggie.
Yeah.
Yes, सामके विचित्र question घातला तुम्ही.
अरे बाप रे.
Yes, I am Goan. I'm from Margaon.
The cool thing is you're from my place as well. Your
Yes.
mom is from Shishini,
Yes.
right?
So my
And
mom
your-
is from Shishini, very close neighbors. My mom is from there, and I have a lot of memories.
But
growing up.
you grew up in Margaon.
Yes, one of the first few families in
Okay.
Aggie.
All right. Okay.
When it wasn't so overcrowded.
Yeah, it must have been a
Trees.
different time then, huh? Like
Yes.
very
Yes,
not
yes,
too populated.
Yes,
in a
yes,
sense.
yes. The hill today, which is Moti Dongur, was full of kaju
Okay,
trees
okay.
and
Oh, nice.
barren and
So Aggie, what are your influences like growing up in Goa? Anyone who influenced you or your day-to-day life? I mean,
I think my biggest influence as a child was Samantha Fox.
okay, yeah, who didn't have
Who
that?
didn't? Yeah. yeah. We're
I
not
think my
gonna.
brother had a poster in his bedroom.
Didn't we all?
yeah, mine was under the mattress, yeah.
Yeah.
So you know,
Along
mom
with-
couldn't see.
So we've established that you were at this place getting debonaires every.
Oh
every
yeah,
day.
yeah.
So I think all of us are like pretty much sum of everything that influences us as we grow up,
Right,
right?
right, right.
We obviously had influences of parents, immediate family, neighbors, the shopkeepers we went to,
Yeah.
the teachers who taught us
Right.
stuff, and I think
Yeah.
at different phases in life, you get influenced by different things. Like I can recollect, I had tuition teachers who influenced me, and I'm so grateful for them.
Right.
I have my, of course, immediate parents and immediate uncles and aunties who,
Yeah.
so much of what we are today is
Yes.
about them, right? The music they played is what gives us the rhythm of today.
True,
We were brought up in a time where we had these multicultural kind of diverse
I think
influences.
also we spoke about this. Maybe discuss it now, but I call it the lost generation in the sense where we grew up after the Portuguese era, so to speak, after the liberation, right? So there were little fragments still lingering on in Goa, and that's why we are kind of different the way we grew up, right, compared to now. Don't you agree? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Like growing up in a
I think it wasn't just
we are part
fragments.
of India and Indianness is there, but I think it's much more right now compared to when we grew up in, right?
Oh yeah, it's obvious. We have a colonial past, which is not
Yeah.
just a colonial past. There was even hugely an integration that happened. Where families they got intermarried, and then
Yeah.
you mixed cultures from culinary to music to so many things. If you go
Yeah.
back.
No, and our mindset also was very different, very open in a
Yes.
sense as compared to other Indian states. Wouldn't you?
They studied in Portuguese
Yeah.
and they did so many things which were different. And that's what made us different. And I think it still is different. I
Yeah.
don't think there are fragments left anymore. There is still so much of it still existing.
Yeah.
It's going to go down.
At least my viewpoint onto it is that so the British came into India, but the Indianness was there. It was there.
Yeah.
But the one thing when the Portuguese came to Goa was that we embraced that culture. So it's as far as the clothes that we wore,
Yeah.
the language that we spoke, everything, it impacted us. I mean, we were
The habits.
yeah,
the
I mean,
culture.
I would say for me, for example, to put it in a nutshell, is that we were more Portuguese than the Indians were British.
But I think it's a nice. We had that nice blend in a way.
yeah, it was a
I wouldn't say we are Portuguese or we are Indian, but we are Goan in a way.
Yeah,
if I
yeah,
am bold, I'm making a bold statement.
No, I mean you wouldn't
yeah.
find the dances that we have, for example, in Goa. You wouldn't find those kind of dances anywhere else in India, correct?
For that matter, even Portugal, right? I don't know whether they have these dances. I don't know. I'm very curious to find out.
Oh, they have it in Portugal as well.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. I was not aware of that. I mean, I'm trying to do some research on this, on how the dances came about. How it all started.
But even the music, right? The music that we grew up with was
I mean, we grew up with English mostly.
Yeah, I mean maybe
It wasn't
maybe
Hindi
just
so
us.
much.
Yeah, but there wasn't that. I mean, Hindis were kind of what I remember growing up was Hindi was reserved for that Saturday evening movie. I don't know if you guys had that experience.
Doordarshan.
On Doordarshan, yeah, you used to
Yeah.
have that one Hindi movie, but that was pretty much all that. And of course, the language which we struggled with, and teacher Shalini whipping us
Guys,
off.
if we, I'm going to mention it again that we all studied in Loyola High School, Margao, and we have very fond memories.
And now that you mentioned Teacher Shalini, we have very fond memories of Teacher Shalini.
Yeah, Teacher Shalini was untouchable, right? Well, if you put it that way. I don't know if it's like is it part of a personality or what is it?
Do you remember
I don't
Teacher
know.
Shalini?
Of course, of course. She flunked me purposely flunked me, I would
I think
say.
she flunked me as well. All the teachers flunked me.
There's this incident I remember of Teacher Shalini very, very clearly and vividly in my mind. So Teacher Shalini, for reference for everyone who's listening as well, was this, she wasn't short, she was quite, she was maybe 5'5" or 5'6" maybe.
Probably,
But she was thin and she was, I'd say, quite a graceful woman, and bless her soul, and she taught all of us, and she would come in a sari and she would be draped and she would almost walk like this. She was absolutely thin. And she would carry this book and she would walk. And there's this thing, once she came to class and she told the whole class, she said, I came down and she would talk in Konkani, because I think she was teaching Konkani as well as Hindi. If I remember
I think so, too.
And she goes, Basat Sagle, kind of thing. And Sangpachi Gazal Marla, assembly Ketali Portun Geli. So she was going back home, right? So she goes, and she had this habit of carrying this book and covering her face. And she goes, Sakalpo Waitali Thai Maka Thode Mayo Melio Thai. And Maka Ponte Gazali Korpa Laglio. Ekli by Dusri Mike Sangta, Avoy, Itiani po teacher go. The other lady then, the other mother goes back to her and says, Avoy. Fuk Malyar Potoli. And the whole class burst out laughing. So,
and she was telling the story, the full conversation.
She said this whole conversation to us, and the class burst out laughing.
I think, now that I think about it, I think she was a germaphobe. She didn't want to, that's why she was very particular, like,
she was predicting COVID all these years.
All these years. She knew COVID was coming, I guess.
She was the Nostradamus of her time, I would imagine. So the thing was, I think she used to go back even to, if by chance somebody touched her, she would go back home, have a shower, and I think she lived
she would go.
She lived around the corner.
We wouldn't be able to verify what she did after going back. But
But the good old days, Loyola, I mean.
How many times did you, the kids of today, when they're getting late to school, they get stressed. And my son gets stressed going, like, if you're late.
Is it the same now? Like, the teachers are hard on, like, I'm not saying Loyola, but
we would
other
get beaten
schools
up,
around
right?
the world.
If we went, no, I'm sure.
Is there some sort of a punishment
for
schools?
I don't know. It just
gets... your daughter goes to school over here, right? What if she goes late? What happens?
So just getting into what Aggie was trying to reference. So us reaching late, right? You were talking about that. The fact I still remember, it used to stress me out, because I the good old days, Father Savio, who was there, of course, and then Father Willie and everyone.
They had it with the
So what my first memory is Father Savio having either the cane and the biscuit, we called it, which was the wooden.
Biscuit, I think it was the sofa arm.
Whatever,
right. It was this thing which was round.
And
it
had
holes in it.
So
it had this, then a handle to it, right? So
impact
would give clear impact, because there was no place for air to get between this object and
But now, if you do that now, it's
I'll just give you, talking about it. So those good old days, I used to freak out that I used to not be 2 minutes late, 3 minutes late, because either it was the cane or it was the biscuit, or if you were reading Father Willie, it was, he used to pull the side locks, and you scream in pain, agony. My daughter now, if she reaches late, it's just an email after 48 hours saying she's reached late to school.
I remember the snacks, man. Coming down after school, like the raw guava, right, with masala.
And
the borums. I don't know what is the borums actually. They're berries, right? Meaning, what is the English term for it?
No idea.
It was like, that, I don't know what you call it. In Konkani, we say borums.
Let's not find another word for it.
And the good old sounds of, I screwed. Those were the good old days. But they were not hygienic though, those ice lollipops.
But they were the best tasting
ones, weren't they? Best, like on a warm, sunny day. And not to forget, next to Fatima High School here.
Of course.
We were, Loyola for the people who do not know, Loyola High School was a boys' school,
Jesuit.
and our neighbors were Fatima High School, where it was like all girls' school.
And all these boys would go
And did
there.
you marry a Fatimite, Aggie?
No. All these boys would go down to Fatima's, and I was a slow learner, and then it took me really long time to
But
figure out
I
what they were
remember
doing.
Aggie was quite a thing with the ladies back then.
Was I?
Was
Yeah.
that? Was it?
I was a slow learner.
Well, the women were. He was in the women's.
But a lot of the
icon,
women knew him. That much I remember. You
Probably
played
when I-
basketball?
Yeah, probably when I
you're playing.
maybe college time, not in school.
College time. Okay, school, yeah. School, we were.
Wait a minute.
little-
So you were post Loyola? Were you with Chogles or?
So Loyola's, Chogles, where I spent huge amount of time with thousands of chicks,
Okay.
and I'll say I'll explain why I say that as well.
Okay.
And then I went to do my masters at Goa University, and then went on to do internship with Bombay Stock Exchange, then ICICI Bank, then Citi over here,
Okay.
and then that's it.
Okay.
Went on to do this.
So let's get into the interesting part. The girls.
Chicks. I was 17 years old, and my cousin and a friend of mine decided to collect some birthday money, and we went on and put up a poultry farm. That's how I.
Okay.
Put up a what? Pottery farm?
Poultry.
Poultry farm.
He's talking about the chicks, man.
Nice, Simon.
Pottery is a dying industry.
Yeah.
And here we were so excited. We get some breaking news into
Nice.
Aggie's.
But it was
Komi darling, huh?
kombi bharenga.
But you know what? I just thought of I'd say embarrassing Valentine's Day story. Since it's Valentine's, post-Valentine's, I just thought of this story where I like this girl from Fatimites, right? She was a Fatimite. And
Oh, I think I know who you're talking
Even
about.
I think, yeah.
I brought chocolates, Cadbury chocolates, everything. Bought a nice red bag and everything, and a card. You know, those days you write in red and all that stuff.
Oh my God.
I think even a mixtape was there in it.
Oh
Even
my
a mixtape.
God.
I even recorded a mixtape. I went down, like school ended, and she was walking home, and I went to, and I like, "Hey, this is for you." And I was nervous. I think we must have been in 8th grade or something like that. And she's like, "No, I'm not taking it. And in the end, I went with my friend to his terrace, and we started eating the chocolates ourselves. Yeah, that's one embarrassing story. Carrie's case file.
For all the single ladies out there, just
To
my
all
friend,
the girls who rejected me before. But
you
yeah,
get a romantic in Carrie, so please
Yeah,
buzz
call
him
me
and let him
now.
know.
Is this
1-800.
Is this one of the reasons why you have started this podcast?
yeah, find
yourself
chicks,
out.
man. I will find Goan chicks. Man.
So he was finding a legal way he could ask the women to kiss him. So this is the best way, right? Kiss me, I'm gone.
But coming to now food, like, what's
There's
your
a lot of
favorite cuisine? Let's get into Goan food. Goan cuisine.
You took a plane, you flew to Goa, and what's the first
Yeah.
thing that you will pick up from Mahjong?
Or last meal before you die. Like
Oh,
the
gee.
last.
Oh God, that's getting a
Before I
bit.
die.
They're getting very dark right now. But first meal, once you touch down in Goa, that's what the one question we like to ask our fellow Goans.
We land early mornings mostly. I like to take the flight that lands early morning, and the first thing you get there is
Do you go for the pato bhaji?
Ras omelette.
Ras omelette?
Yes. When I actually eat with my hands, then I'm really enjoying myself.
Yeah.
And it's
Every
mostly
time I discuss this with Neil, do you think, is it better to eat with hands? Like the taste is better than having with fork and spoon?
It depends what cuisine you're having.
Right. Yeah, I can't have a spaghetti with my hand,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying food, Goan food. You think it makes people say you gotta eat with your hand?
If it's fish
And-
curry rice, probably if you haven't eaten with your hand and you
Yeah.
always.
I'm used to the cutlery.
Then you're fine, I guess, with
Yeah.
cutlery.
No, but I don't know. I mean, for someone who's had it both ways, I think there's some, just like Aggie said, there's some
Something
dishes-
special about
there's
eating
some
with your
dishes,
hand.
like a fish curry rice. I think it's that.
You gotta have the sheet kodi
Yeah,
with your hand.
If you really go and dig into a fish, I can
Yeah.
eat a fish like a cat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All will be left is the bone.
The skeleton.
So when you're eating, how are you going to eat with a fish?
Yeah, you can't do justice to
No
a
one I
fish
saw
with a-
scratch marks on his wife's face here. So yeah, you were saying. No, but yeah. Besides fish curry, anything else you like?
Just any cuisine of Goa
Choris.
is nice. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
That's the national thing
Yeah,
for
the
us,
national sauce.
The desserts, the favorite ones. Like I remember my mom making bibinka in those days. And
It's a very tedious task.
oh,
actually,
very
to
tedious.
make.
And I used to see her doing it the proper way that it was done, where they would have
Would it
fire
be like
from
7,
down,
12 layers?
7 layers,
7 layers, yeah.
and they used to put fire on all sides. There wasn't controlled electric temperature.
Even dosh also is dosh.
Dosh is another tedious thing.
Tedious thing,
You
yeah,
need
yeah.
good muscle to.
Yeah, to kind of
Yeah.
rub it, whatever.
Yeah.
Grind it, sorry. When I say rub it, title of my sex tape. Yeah, grind it.
Title of another sex tape.
You gotta rub it. Okay. But yeah, but those I've seen it during weddings or some feast.
Yeah.
Where the the village ladies would come. You would call actually someone to actually do it, and it's a nice thing to see actually. Bibinka, of course, a lot of people make it, but it's not everyone.
You know that you guys do this, and besides having this, I am always intrigued, and I've asked him before very lightly as well, why you do this? Why do you do this podcast? And now that we're talking about food also, there are so many stories around how these cuisines evolved in Goa. How did Samara Chikodi come up? How did Bibinka come up? Bibinka was actually a discovery by a nun named Bibinka. They had
I thought it
extra
was,
egg yolk left, right?
Right.
And she made this cake, layered cake, for the priest. And the reason this egg yolk was extra was because they were doing the laundry, like they were using it as some part of the laundry that they were doing for the cassocks of the priests, which were white.
They would use the egg
Egg
yolk.
white?
Yes,
Egg white,
they were
sorry.
using egg white
Oh,
Wow.
to do the
interesting.
laundry. I'm not sure why and how, but probably
Right,
it's
right.
something to do with maybe starch to make it look firm. I'm
Yeah,
not sure
yeah.
of that. But then that basically led to having extra yolk,
Okay.
which she then used to make cake. And that's how it's named Bibinka, after her sister Bibinka.
Wow.
But I don't know. I've read another story where a nun has named it after the 7 hills of Portugal or something.
Interesting that somebody used egg whites for.
Yeah, that's quite an
For laundry,
interesting.
I mean.
Yeah.
Like even if you speak of chicken kafiyal, for example, you'll get some saying it was brought in by, and I'm sure it was, but I know some say it's from Brazil, from a place called Kaf. Some say it's brought in by soldiers from Africa, like probably Mozambique, who were working for the Portuguese military and who were in
Right.
Goa. Those
Now that you're mentioning, I got a rant, but first I'm going to discuss about sorpotel, right? Everybody loves sorpotel. I love sorpotel. And the story goes that it was brought from Brazil, and it was a dish where you could keep it on the ship for a long time. And I think that story is legit because you can keep sorpotel in a fridge for the longest time and the taste changes. It tastes fantastic like after a month. Like a friend of mine, his mother makes awesome sorpotel and he kept it in the fridge and it was amazing, the taste.
Yeah. It's like kalchikodi. You have the morning after with
I would have it
sorpotel.
for breakfast as
Yeah,
well.
oof,
Like
yeah.
I would have like my cook or would bring the sorpotel out
The
and
chef,
have
you
it.
mean.
Yeah, the chef the party at home we have. This is my rant where I saw this Instagram story and this girl, she's like a famous whatever cooking influencer on Instagram, and she talks about making mutton sorpotel.
Okay.
And she's got this cook, the maid of the house, and she asks the maid, what is the difference between reshad, shakuti, and sorpotel? And the maid replies, "Nahi bhai, sab kuch same hai." And I was like, what? You really pissed off a lot of Goans.
Wait a minute. Why would she ask the maid? Is the maid supposedly Goan?
Supposedly Goan, her name is Monica, so I'm having my doubts.
Okay.
I don't think I met a maid named Monica. It's only the
fancy
Bollywood
one,
film. Yeah, Monica, oh Mary darling. So yeah, I would never. So yeah, that's my rant. I mean, don't
So wait a
massacre
minute.
a beautiful
So
dish.
the influencer is not Goan, and she's
No.
supposedly asking a maid who's supposedly Goan
Yeah.
and saying, "Okay, can you give your comments on the Goan dishes?"
Social media is a powerful medium, right, for people. So I think you need to do a fact check, do your study, research. You're in Goa, ask some Goans before you put it out there.
Yeah.
So it's very important. But yeah, enough of my rant. And we have actually I would say a little part of the Goan snack plate.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
served at birthdays, parties, thanks to Eric Bob, courtesy of Eric. We have the beef croquets, the fish cutlets, and prawn rejoice, or we say in Portuguese, rejoice de camarão. And yeah, thanks to Eric Bob. Eric's at in Dubai. So yeah.
So let's dig in.
Yeah, you
Okay,
want to
guys.
dig in? I just want to have one.
Aggie?
Bit
No,
hungry.
I'm okay. Have.
You sure?
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be abstaining, but I can't keep my hands off the beef croquettes.
Yeah, it's really good. This one, I don't know. Some people would want to have like ketchup or something like that, but I don't think
You lose the taste. I mean,
Yeah.
I think ketchup is
you want to
overbearing.
experience the flavor,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. So is this one of the things that you pick up on day one in Goa? What's your go-to from? You're a platinum member at Jackers, I believe, right?
Yeah, Aggie, do you go to Jackers or do you
Of
like?
course.
Okay, cool. Yeah, they're famous for their prawn patties.
Yeah.
I'm a research kind of guy. That's my first go-to. To be honest, before the beef.
You know, honestly, I'm not a rejoice kind of guy, but yeah, I mean, they're served at all the weddings, parties, and it's a nice snack plate.
Yeah.
Even they would have those, I think, like liver pate on toast
Oh yeah.
and forminia,
yeah.
like a little forminia with
Yeah.
some salad in it,
Lovely.
like a coleslaw or something, right? Or some mayonnaise salad.
It's
You know,
like a Russian salad kind of thing.
When I go down to Goa, it's these like off-beat places that you like going to and eating, right?
Yeah.
Like some lady in her house who's opened up a small little bar.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know, in Raya there's this place we used to go to, Susie's, where she just put a few tables and she would serve fresh
I've
food.
not been there, no.
It's good, don't
Is
be
she
there.
still operating? Oh, really?
Unadulterated,
Okay.
good food, like
Okay.
really fresh fish. And I'm not sure if she's still there, if she still does it, because I've not been there for a few years now. But you always had these places where you had good, authentic food
Oh, right.
if you knew where to go. You just needed to go to the
There
right
you go,
places.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there was always an argument because I never found those in the northern side of Goa.
Okay.
I found those more towards the south. Now I don't want to get into the argument of
North
which
versus
is
south.
better. I'm sure we all grow up with when you're fed something in your childhood, you think that's how it's meant to taste.
Yeah.
You know, so that's we'll leave that. But I think the south of Goa has a lot of these places, especially. You can see that these guys cook with so much of like passion. Some of these
Yeah.
places, you
Yeah.
know, because if they don't have the ingredient, they won't cook for you.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like we have Horseshoe, and he's a man who truly cooks.
I think he's maybe the only one or one of the
No,
few
there are
who-
loads of them. There are loads of
who's
them.
actually focusing on Portuguese.
He does Portuguese and Goan cuisine.
Goan cuisine.
And I'm sure there are loads of chefs who are cooking very passionately
Right.
that we won't be able to name, all from the south, the north, you know. But and cuisine, like everything else, is going to change as well. You know? Chefs are going to come in and introduce new stuff. Fusion is going to happen.
Yeah.
Like everything.
I mean, yeah, it's already happening. I
Life's
mean,
a
we've
remix.
mentioned guys on our podcast like famous chefs like Avinash Martins of Cavatina, and then Gasper,
Yeah.
who's doing fantastic with his restaurant Gasper's in Lithuania. So he's taking Goan cuisine to another level. Like I said, I think we'd love to have him on the show at some point.
Yeah. So there's authentic Goan, and then there's what Aggie is mentioning is, let's say progressive Goan,
Yeah.
what we call fusion and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's good. I mean, I think there are a few, like you said, hole in the wall places that are being very, how do I say, true to the authentic Goan food. You
Yeah.
know? I mean, it's not too many of them, but there are some who are. And then you have a couple of others who will do
But
a bit of
fusion to
fusion
me-
and get rants from you.
I don't want to see vegan stuff of like, non-veg food. But it's amazing. We've got a large kind of cuisine in the sense we have the Catholic side and we have the Hindu Saraswat,
Yes,
which is
yes.
fantastic with seafood and veg. And of course, Goan, we have the pork and beef.
Yeah, like
So
when
it's
you, when, you,
amazing.
when you when you said, like sorpotel is like our go-to
Yeah,
dish.
yeah.
It was on the Catholic side,
Yeah, it's-
right?
yeah.
And then you had, let's say, something else, like the Hindus had, they had, which we all love to eat, is the thali over
Yeah,
there.
yeah, the fish
Fish
thali.
thali.
And it's such a different
Even
cuisine
veg thali
in
for
the
that matter,
sense,
yeah.
because they use different
Yeah.
ways to make their food. We use a lot of vinegar, and they
Yeah.
use tamarind and
Oh,
a
lovely.
different-
They're like we have a family friend has invited us over a couple of times. The veg dish is amazing. Fish is also, they are very particular about their fish. So you can expect the best.
And then
in
let's not
terms of-
forget
yeah.
the Muslim neighbor who made that amazing mutton curry. You know? We always
I've not tried actually, to be honest. I'll be very frank. with
We
you.
were in
I can't
Margao.
comment.
We were in Margao. And
Y'all guys, lived in Margao.
And there was, I remember vividly, if I was a painter, I could probably draw this man out. He used to live on Moti Dongur, and he used to.
Not MF Hussain.
He was like he had goats, dude, and he would bring down paya and he would bring down mutton
Okay.
to sell in Margao, and he would come door to door.
Right.
And on Eid, his wife would make this white mutton, which was
White mutton.
amazing. Yeah.
Oh,
The curry, the
interesting.
mutton curry was white.
Oh,
Yeah, it wasn't like
interesting.
brownish.
Okay. Wow.
Food was the thing that brought the community together. So there was never, it was during the Muslim festivals, Eid, we used to get the biryanis and the food, the rich, like you said, the mutton and everything.
See,
And then the Catholic, during the Christmas, we used to go with our sweets and our your sweet platter, whatever stuff like that. And then of course during the Hindu festivals, a couple of them used to get. So the food was the one thing I felt for me growing up was perfect, because I got, at least for me in Margao, I got a sense of all the different cultures, or at least one Goan culture
That's
through
good.
different religion was there on the plate. At least it was
I
everywhere.
think,
That's what Goa was for us. Unlike
Yeah,
you
yeah.
living in the village in Shishini.
Yeah, I have to say Shishini was primarily Catholics.
Catholic,
very
yeah.
few Hindu families.
Yeah.
And that's why I was not exposed to so much.
Yeah.
Little bit of Ganesh, I would say. But
You came
never-
in that small shots of yours taking that bus, and it would rain, and I used to spend some days with my
Oh, I hated the
mom's
rains.
house.
The gumboots would get like soaked. Unpleasant memories of the rains.
I used to hate those shots, by the way. in
We used to
school.
love the rains because sometimes you get a holiday on rains. when
Yeah,
the
that
rain
was
happens.
the only
Yeah.
good thing about it.
No, but sometimes you're forced to go to school, right? And you'd see all the raincoats hanging, dripping.
But yeah, I still remember, now that you mentioned about it, I remember every morning if it was raining heavily, the first thing was, I wish school get cancelled today.
Yeah.
And we'll be out in the rain the whole day. That's not the point of school getting cancelled. It was first to be
I wanted
at
to
home.
sit at home and watch
Exactly.
TV.
No, but
Watch
I
TV.
would be out, to be honest with you. I enjoyed.
Yeah, if it was like semi-raining, we'd be playing with other kids
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Hey, but coming back to food, did you ever get this? Did you get like annoyed? Like people would tell you, like maybe in London, you live in London or Dubai, where other nationalities would say, once they know you're Indian, right? They'll say, "Oh, I love butter chicken. I love naan, and I watch Slumdog Millionaire," and they think it's all the same, right? Does that bother you or anything like
that's
that?
everywhere, you know.
Yeah.
If you go to London, they'll look at, and it depends who you're speaking to, right? If
Or
the
even in
guy-
Dubai as well.
If the guy is well traveled,
Yeah,
he knows
yeah.
that India is a huge, diverse place.
Yeah.
You can go to the US, like I've been to the US, where people think Middle East is just one whole thing there for them.
Yeah.
There will be
true.
traveled people who have gone to the Middle East and they see, but the rest of them see that, oh, that Middle
Yeah.
East is one place. They wouldn't know how many cultures and how different, and the cuisine is the same in India.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm not a big fan of butter chicken, but yeah, it's a nice dish. But, we have our own dishes, right? I mean, we grew up with
Stereotypes
whatever. Yeah,
everywhere. How many
stereotype,
times did we get it? And I'm sure you have got it as well. That if you're from Goa, you did drugs and you went
Yeah,
partying.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's a label.
The
They expect you to like party.
The automatic assumption is that we live in Anjuna. Or we live
Yeah, and you're doing
Yeah.
pills every day or something and listening to trance music.
I'm sure a huge part of us did that, but we
Yeah.
also did other things.
Excuse-moi. My mom is watching this, man. No, but honestly, even me growing up, I didn't really go to I've been to some
We're not talking
parties
about
and
your
all
drug
that.
behavior.
Some-
That's not what.
Okay.
I've been to just some parties.
Yeah, I've been to some parties, but the way there were some friends also who we knew who were ravers, but that's not what it's all about, right? Goa has that side to it. I have to give credit. I'm into dance music and electronic music, and Goa was the first place to start psychedelic trans. That's where Israelis came, and even big DJs, if you're not familiar.
They still do come.
Yeah, they still do come, and it's on the quiet.
No, I don't think it's on the quiet also. No, it's very.
Yeah,
very
now thanks
sunburn.
to thank you influencers for ruining. Yeah, that's
No, but I have a friend of mine who is a college friend of mine, also Goan, who is
Yeah.
doing very well in this
events
and,
kind of
music.
okay,
So
organizing.
I think what growing up, it was there, but it was very, like you said, it was unheard of. It was not marketed out. But today
Yeah.
it's very much there. I mean, I think
Yeah, you
was-
can see Hilltop everywhere on all Instagram and but can you do it now? I mean, can you do it?
Can I do what?
Party now,
Please be
rave?
Can you please be specific what it
Party
is?
rave. I mean, you did it, and life was, I did it when I was in university. We went. I was in Panjim, and I lived there. So obviously, we got exposed. I had a roommate who was a big party animal. I won't. But we were exposed to all. Caravella had just come in, and I had access through some other friend who was like a VIP guest. So every time I wanted unlimited drink and eat, that was like dream for a student.
I mean, now that you mention it again, I'm bringing it up. I won't mention the club name, and there's a lane named after it. If you'll know very well in Kalangut, which used to be a good club back in the day, and now it's like Bollywood. It's all Bollywood, and it's sad to see it go that way. But yeah,
See,
he's making money.
That's a
but
commercial place, and it will do what commercial demands. But if you go further north, Carrie, you come further south to the extremes as well. You can go down to a north and you'll find a different party scene. There's a Russian party scene happening. There's a deep trance scene happening. There are international DJs and
whatever
talent that's coming
Agonda,
in.
Palole.
You go down to the south. The last time
Yeah.
I was there was like I went down to this restaurant, and two of them, one was in Benaulim and one somewhere south itself.
Okay.
There was a whole band playing there, which was like amazing drummer, amazing crooner, and there was like a whole set of people dancing salsa to the tune.
Oh, nice.
So there
Man,
are
I need to
places
go.
like
I
this.
heard about this. Let's start with the beginning. Like banking, you started off with banking.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, you were a banker, and how this sudden change to filmmaking, photography?
I get the question many times, and I loved banking in the sense I was a wealth manager with Citibank, right? I love the fact
Fine.
that
I think he also bought the Debonair magazine, and that's when he said, let's get into photography. Sorry, okay. Yeah.
So I love the fact that you could meet so many people. It was all about relationships, and thoroughly enjoyed it. You can't be in.
Was there a
banking.
moment that really clicked you or something like that? It really hit you, and
No,
what?
but-
This is a cool thing.
So
I like.
banking was like a decade and over, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of taught me a lot. It taught me a lot on the business side.
Right.
Because if you can't sell and you can't perform, it's a very cutthroat industry in the
Yeah,
sense
very cutthroat.
you have to perform or you're not lucrative to the
Yeah.
system. Let's go to how this whole thing started, right? It kind of left a spark in me, and and I just kept thinking, and I kept handling cameras from small photography events. And I remember going to small communion parties and baptisms when I was working, and in the day I would be in the nice swanky car with a suit, and in the evening I would sling a camera around, and everyone would be, hey, photographer, come click this, come click that, and then next morning.
And you started off with parties, weddings.
Yes, I started off as a majorly learning photography.
And, right.
I went and lived like for over a week and more with a gentleman in London who basically did a workshop with me in private.
Okay.
He was like a big photographer in London.
All right.
And he taught me human faces and how
Okay.
you look at them.
Okay.
It's just I was deeply passionate about looking at a good visual,
Yeah.
But then at the same time I kept questioning myself. It's a hobby, and then what happens when you put pressure? Because just day before yesterday, like for example, we can go and shoot at a very high pressure event. We are shooting at the World Summit, for example. We are shooting at some sustainability events, and there are heads of state coming in, and there are high profile people coming in. Now the hobby goes with so much of stress, and how do you handle it? Is the question I was asking myself back then as well.
Right.
But then somewhere, I think as I was working, I started to do this, and I realized I started getting clients coming in, and then I had like a person who was there who would handle certain stuff. But then to a point where I either had to be in banking or I had to do this. And I said,
You had to make
if
a
I'm going to do
decision.
both,
Yeah.
if I'm going to do both, I'm going to destroy both.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't put my legs into both. And that's when I jumped. And the start was pretty scary because you go from a decent paying job
To a
full
self-employed.
To a self-employed. I remember waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning in a sweat because at the end of the month you're not going to get a salary.
Yeah.
And the thing in Dubai, you have to pay your bills.
Yes,
right?
yes,
So people ask me, "Oh, how's the decision?" I said, either stupid or brave.
valor to him on taking
valor.
that jump, because it's not everybody has the guts, I'll say, to move from because the salary thing puts you in a kind of a safe spot, and then you go and he took a big jump, a leap of faith. But I think what everyone listening should take out of this is that you followed your passion with this.
Stupid or brave, that's what I said.
Yeah, but he followed his passion, and that's what's key. I mean,
see, it's been 7 years now, and it's interesting. By the way, Carrie, thanks for making these mugs.
Oh, yeah.
So when did you all start the company? In 2000?
The company has started, registered in 2015. We are mostly a corporate photo video company.
Okay.
A large part of me does documentaries, but I do that as a...
That's your personal side.
It's not really personal. I go in as a DP. The picture bar is basically, if you need anything in photo, video, in corporate communications, that's where we come in.
Okay.
We can come in and do a testimonial video. We can do an interview with CEOs or your top key people.
But may I ask, I remember you started with like these parties and weddings. As I told you, you even used to fly down to Goa to do some parties and weddings. Why that change? In the sense, was it not interesting enough, or was it not lucrative to do?
A huge part of me is associated with the commercial side of it, and I think it has to be, because a creative many times...
I think you would call it event photography, right? When it comes to what do you say,
video,
wedding?
Photo video.
Okay, photo video.
I know we started off as weddings, but I always wanted to do something which gives me both,
more challenge,
as well as it is lucrative and commercially, right?
Right,
you have to grow.
Yes.
And I always benchmark myself to banking days. Like if I was in banking today, where would I be in terms of scales on both laterally as well as monetary as well, right? And I try to tag myself there.
So the reason why I ask also, weddings also has been a part of Goan culture, in the sense, how big it is in Goa.
Yeah.
You think it's changing when it comes to video? Have you noticed anything?
Huge change, no?
There is huge change in video photography.
The fact of cameras getting to the consumer so easily, in the sense, you don't have to pay so much like before. You don't have to sell an arm and
they want to do it themselves.
No, the cameras are cheap, and to get what you need through these cameras today is much more easier than what it used to be before. Before, to get into an event and do the decor shot would take us like half an hour, 45 minutes. Just the interior decor that was done at the reception.
Okay.
Today we can get it done in 10 minutes.
Right.
Wow. So I can shoot this place in like 5 to 10 minutes, this restaurant. Because cameras have become so easy to handle.
Advanced now.
Very well advanced.
Yeah.
There's this gimbal they hold, which is like a stabilizer. There was a time we used to hold it. I used to get a tennis elbow at the end of every season. Right. I had to go for physiotherapy. Today they're much lighter.
Right.
They're motorized. Before they were physically...
Yeah.
It's the physics of it that made it stable. So you have to balance all the axes. And today the motor does the job. Right. So things like this have made these things much more simpler.
Okay. Man, one amazing thing I saw, but this was in Philippines. I'd gone for a friend's wedding, right? They filmed everything, like the start of the wedding, and at the end, right on the spot, they do their editing and they show you a preview. I'm like, wow.
So I know Aggie has done the THN event. So he does what, day 2 or day 1 also you had a So the full day shooting.
So you show it on the day itself?
Day. It's called the same day edit.
Okay.
And this is...
But I don't think Goa's reached that.
Of course.
Okay.
Goa, you have such great talent both in
we don't go
field.
much, but...
Goa is full of talent, from the music to, how it is. Creative is quite strong in Goa. We can go into an event today, and I have a client where we've done this before, where at the end of the event, like when he's breaking over for lunch, he'll say, turn over your badges, your lanyards, and there's a barcode. And just scan, and today's pictures are going to be there because we upload today's pictures straight up.
Yes. It's become
that's a lot of work. I mean, so obviously you need someone like the picture bar to have these things done for you at a click of a finger.
I'm sure there are people who do it around, and software and tech is making it so much more easier to do these things. And that's what we have to keep with pace, Today, touching up a photograph has become so much more easier, and it's changing so fast that I better know what's happening. We have gone into a place where there's this frequency sound that has been coming on the audio, and I remember maybe even 3 years ago I would have to give it to a studio for a sound engineer to do it, and today just as a drop of one effect, it's done. You know, nice clean
Amazing.
sound. It gets rid of noise.
One of the reasons why we started the show was just because you're talking about in Goa right now, for me was that, you know, we kind of inspire the youth as far as, you know, all senses, not just entrepreneurship, passion and stuff like that. So now that you're talking about, you made a statement saying Goa, there's a lot of talent. For the young Goan boy who's now probably in his, you know, deciding on his career path, he has a passion for photography, videography. What are the opportunities for him in Goa right now to develop those skills or to enhance those skills?
This question takes me back to my time when I was coming out of college, and I told my mom, you know, I want to go to Ferguson's College and they have a course in photography or film. And she goes, no way, get a job behind the desk.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. Later on, I said, okay, now, you know, I can take my own call or whatever. But that's how it was looked at.
It's a different time then.
Yes.
I mean, nobody would,
I have no regrets to the path I've taken because it's taught me so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I left banking, I actually asked myself, you know, what am I going to do with so many years that's gone by? You know, how am I going to? But banking has never, I don't think I'll ever leave that side of banking because relationships continue.
Yes.
And those relationships still are tagged to certain bankers where I basically, you know, we still do business to that.
Yeah.
But those niche clients that still stick around with me, right? But coming to this question, the very fact of having cameras accessible, you know, today, it's open to basically the young youth. And that's how you get so much of talent coming up straight away. The first lowest hanging fruit is weddings. And they go in and do so many weddings, right? But then weddings, again, that's another huge topic because delivering a wedding is also very tough. Because the edit is where it's cumbersome. And you need a lot of skill there too.
Correct.
Endurance, actually.
I want to get into now the documentaries you have worked on, the short documentaries. So I mean, we've spoken a lot about your, you know, I noticed that you have this passion. What made you do these documentaries?
Stories always are interesting, and I think they're interesting to all of us.
Right.
If I had to ask you today, what's the earliest story you have? Would anything come to your mind?
For him, it'd be something rare and debonair.
I remember the earliest stories.
Very naughty boy.
The earliest stories that comes to my mind is a story my mom told me.
Right,
and she told me this story literally over and over and over again. But every time it interests me. There was a story about, you know, Baba, there was a bangdo, and the bangdo mackerel decided to go to the beach for a picnic. And she would tell me this so that I eat my food. And I was a little kid, and I still remember the story. And every time she told me I would eat, and the bangdo wanted to go for a picnic. So the bangdo took its daughter and its son and goes to the beach. They kept their food on the beach, and they went to swim.
Right.
And as they were swimming, up came the crab, ate the food, and went away.
Okay.
And the bangdo comes back with its daughter and son.
Yeah.
And is looking for the food, and the food is not there.
Right.
And then it's like worried, what will I feed my children now? The food's not there. Was it interesting?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it was.
That's it. The story wouldn't go. The story would just be made up. You know?
And you kept eating your food.
And if there was food left, my mom would go. And then, you know, Baba, there was a crow, and that crow started to speak to the mackerel, and it kept going, you know, and she just kept building up. So stories are interesting, and that's what I kind of feel attracts me to documentaries. But there are so many stories, majorly even because I have access to Goa, and it is lucrative many times, although it costs a lot of time and time's money. But I'm looking for nice stories in Goa that we can record.
But I see that your heart is also in Goa. You have that passion for
I think you've
Goan
done a lot
history,
of work in Goa.
touching Goa. How many documentaries have you done?
So till lately, and there are a few that, there's one more that I really would like to do. One is, of course, Victor Hugo Gomes.
Yeah.
The
Portrait of a collector.
Portrait of a Goan collector. I've done a recent one which I'm yet to finish with Anthronos, Nadia Rebello, and Omar and Selvin.
Yes.
And then I've done Horseshoe, I've done.
Okay.
Then,
And Gonzaga Coutinho as well, right?
Gonzaga Coutinho is on the table. It's very close to finish.
Right.
It's one documentary that I've really been struggling to kind of like make something of it.
Right.
Majorly because I think even he's not a native English speaker, and he's I did this documentary because I absolutely love his work. But Victor
I was
Hugo,
looking forward to that actually. I'm just waiting for that
Yes.
to come out. But all these are short films. Like how many minutes would you say?
they are just short
mostly
sketches
all
or
short
documentaries,
sketches,
you know,
okay.
10 to 15 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I would love to shoot Marius Vestekar.
Okay.
He's one
okay.
person. Even you should probably get on.
Yes.
Victor
yes,
Hugo, you
love
should
to.
get on.
Yeah.
Talking about this film and doing documentaries in Goa, right? There are a lot of Goans in Goa who are not just reviving, they're also keeping it alive. The culture of Goa and the music of Goa. Change is the only constant. We are going to experience change and we are going to die.
Yeah.
This is for sure.
Right.
But it's nice when you kind of like definitely keep what was there as well. And there
Right.
are a lot of people doing this. Victor Hugo is one huge person I'm exposed to. I'm sure there are loads of them there. But Victor Hugo is one of them who, you know, if you see the documentary, it's about this man who has gone and collected. And the collection grew so big that he could open up a museum. Today, Victor Hugo is opening up a tribal museum. He's opening up a culinary museum.
nice.
He's opened up in Betul a farming kind of museum where you
Oh,
can go and experience
wow.
how farming was done.
Interesting.
And that is what I would also want to film at some point, because I really like what he does. And I'm sure there are loads of others, and I would love to get to know them. And I would love your audience to come and tell me who these people are as well.
Valor to you, yeah. I mean, capturing it on film and sharing it with the world. People need to know.
Yeah, because I
what's-
realized when I was doing this, I just did it, you know.
Yeah.
And documentaries are a very tedious process.
Yes.
I'll do an interview which will like go on for 5 hours. You cut it down, all the, the noises and the interruptions. And then you, let's say, have a cut which is 1 hour. And you go listen to this cut for so long and then cut it down to, let's say, 15 minutes of just the audio line. And then you take this out, transcribe it, put it on paper, cut every sentence up and start sticking them all over the place, trying to make sense of them, taking that back into the timeline and then cutting that timeline.
Man, you talk about documentaries, I can imagine what a full-length feature film would be like. But coming to like Konkani films now the famous one which I can think of is Natsuya Kumbasar, brilliantly done by Badroy Barreto.
I'm in love with that film as well.
Yeah.
The cinema of it is amazing. See, the director was very talented. The director has had a different approach to this film.
You could tell it was his like passion project in a way.
Yes. And there are many people involved behind him to make what Natsuya Kumbasar has become, right? A lot of people support was required for a film like that. There's so much that went on to the pre-production of it.
They had to do a lot of research.
Yeah. Like I remember my friend Jackson Pereira he's now in...
He did the music, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I think there's someone else also whose credit comes.
Okay.
But you see, it's like they collected so much of information to reach where they were. Detail, if you get into the film, it's the color palette that you look at.
Right.
If you look at the costume,
Yes.
it was of that era. Bell bottoms where they were required. Modern time when they were
Very
required.
attention to detail.
A lot of attention to detail
yeah.
that the brain subconsciously,
Yes.
thinks that this is now real.
You want to make it as authentic as possible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a scene in the film where John De Silva is walking in the field and they're coming from Bombay going to look for this crooner. And the scene is so beautiful. I think it was somewhere in a Benaulim church or something.
Okay.
Of the cross and the field and that mist.
Yeah.
I think they've gone at least 3 to 5 times to get that shot.
Wow. Okay.
So things like this that go into making these things.
It is a lot of work. It is a lot of work.
So, and I always ask myself, would it be possible like how South India does films, how Bollywood does films, does Goa or does the audience that you're making that film for, is that audience that big? That's
Yeah,
gonna
that's
buy
what I was
it?
getting to. Yeah. Is
Because-
there a big market for it?
Exactly. Because then the commercials need to make sense.
Yes,
If I have
yes.
100 people as a full audience of Goa, let's say 100 people are population of Goa, and this film cost whatever amount,
Yeah,
let's say
yeah.
200, will this spend and give me that more than 200
Right.
to support this film?
Yes.
So that's, if the commercials, it comes down to the commercials.
I mean, we are not as strong as what you say, Tollywood or Telugu or Malayalam cinema or Bollywood for that matter.
Yes, the
I would love to
population
see
itself.
some more films. There are some films
If
coming
there are
out.
so many crazy fans who are willing to digest that film you're making,
Yeah.
then the director or the producer knows for sure, okay, this is a lucrative business and I can go in and it's quite easy for me to make my money back because I have so many people.
Even investors would be hesitant.
And I'm not saying Goa doesn't have that. Maybe the population of Goa is willing to spend more so that it makes commercial sense. But that's one question we need to ask ourselves.
But in terms of stories, we would have a lot. What do you reckon for a film?
Yeah, stories are everywhere.
Scripts are endless, like in the sense.
Stories, ideas, you know, there's everywhere.
Right.
I would love to do a story on an aspiring Goan whose journey to migrate to London.
Yes, yes.
You know, there's so many of them.
Coming to, I know you are based in London. I mean, you shuffle between
Partially,
Dubai
yeah.
and London. And have you met with the Goans there, the Goan community? Is it very strong? We all know it's very strong. I mean, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Is that true? Like in the sense the population has grown in?
I know a lot of people talk about the Goans leaving Goa. A lot of people talk about the change that's happening in Goa.
Yeah.
You can't do anything about the change that's happening in Goa.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of the change that I love that's happening in Goa. I love the infrastructure today. There's so many things. I can always look back at the past and say those days were so great. And even if you took me back there, I still complain and say, oh my God, this is such a rough time.
But Goans don't get a bad rep in
they
London.
don't.
No.
Not at all. I mean, I know social media will come up and show some fight taking place and some Goans getting involved. There are fights taking place all the time. If you go for a match, you'll have,
hooligans and...
Negative is louder than positive, so you'll always hear that stuff, right?
Yes, yes.
But I enjoy the fact of meeting a Goan abroad, especially in London. I've been in Dubai for so many years, yeah. The Goan in London is much more stronger and much more...
I think they're happy once they know you're
They're
Goan.
into being Goan
Yeah.
much more than the NRI based in Dubai.
Right.
I'll tell you a small story on my way here to Dubai this time. I was carrying a cycle for a client of mine, a close friend of mine. And the cycle comes in a box.
It's folded.
It's folded, it's dismantled, it's in a box. And it's quite big, and I wanted to go and check in earlier.
Right.
So I Googled and I found that you can go and check in 48 hours before the flight or 24 hours before the flight. I go down to the check-in counter and I tell the girl, can I check this in? And she goes, oh, I need to check with my supervisor, you're quite early. And I said, I checked on the internet. She says, that's online, not physical.
Okay.
So I said, can you check? And her supervisor says, no, he can't come in. So it's like 10 o'clock in the morning and he goes, tell him to come at 1:30. And I go, oh my God, I can't wait here till 1:30, you know. And then I see her name. And I go, are you Goan? And we start talking.
You spoke in Konkani?
Yes, of course. And I'll cut short. There were two of them and they went all over the place. And in 10 minutes, I was with that bike inside the airport. Someone escorted me and I checked it in.
Oh, nice.
And the Goan there helps you so much. You say one or two lines.
Yeah. Going kare.
But that's how it is. And that's what Goa is all about, right? The
I think
hospitality.
is this true? Are there a lot of Goans in the Heathrow airport?
Loads of them. And that's why Heathrow airport has become my favorite airport.
Okay. Wow, interesting.
But it actually, maybe I'm wrong and you are the best judge for it, but do you feel like, since you shuttle between London and Dubai a lot, do you feel like the Goan community keeps Goa alive a lot more in UK than they do in Dubai?
I really wouldn't know, because Goans over here also do their bit, you know, they do their stuff. But the Goans over there, as far
it's
as
all different groups. It's all
I feel the Goans over there are pretty hardcore. I found news reaching in London faster than it reaches a Goan in Goa.
Okay.
You know, they are very hardcore. They are much more hardcore than us, and they are deep rooted. You know,
we would have the East African Goans who settled in UK long time ago, and then you have the Goans.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of new Goan.
I don't think they mingle. There's such. Of course, it's a different.
And there's a lot of difference in the way they are as well.
Yeah.
Right. The African Goan has moved out long back.
Yeah.
He's an NRI.
They're more British in a sense.
Probably.
More English.
They're more. Yeah. They're more evolved in that culture.
But they still hang on to the food and everything like that.
Yes, they still have their own Goa days and probably with lesser fights.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's I think we're running out of time as well, right?
That's pretty much a cue line for everything.
Yeah. Oops. Let the Mazur out of the bag.
So anyways, it's great.
It's great. It's fun actually. Different setup, different location, and I have to say a big thank you to Picture Bar for filming this for us at a different location, not a studio, so it's nice and refreshing.
We got the opportunity to shoot over here because of support from Aggie and the Picture Bar.
And thanks for coming on the show. We had more time. I think we could do a part 2 as well at some point.
We just may end up doing
this time
another one
at the different setting on the table.
Yeah.
we need to get some champagne and some beer, some drink. But yeah, thank you so much, Aggie. And guys, as always, thank you so much. Please like, subscribe. We are all on Spotify, Apple Music, and if you want the video, you'll find us on YouTube. So please follow, like, subscribe, share it with your friends. Mo gasu, Dev Bore Koru.